It starts as a game, a gathering of friends. And slowly, as some begin to sit back, others stand out. The joy of playing turns to passion. And as the skills develop, so do the minds. And they begin to seek challenges, peers, and mentors to further their abilities and opportunities. The love and passion becomes a thirst for people in a place
we're going to show everybody else in the country who we are.
That will embrace and push. A hunger for excellence.
Clinch the ACC.
And to be in and among champions. These are the dreamers, scholars, leaders. These are the guides, teachers, mentors. And this is the opportunity, the challenge, the place. This is Pitt Beyond the Script.
So here we are with no fans for the first time in Pitt's football history. Many people, fans, coaches, and players weren't sure if this day would ever come.
Hey, it is game day. We know who we are in here, guys. We're going to show everybody else in the country who we are. You guys have earned the right to be here today. All the hard work has been in. The fun starts today.
Beresford, to me, is the best run-stopping safety in the ACC.
Right up the middle, and Carter barely touched for a Panther touchdown.
Touchdown number 1.
Going downfield, trying to find Shockey Louis, and he does. Now Pickett's trying to get to the corner himself, dives to the pylon. Now he steps up as a receiver, wide open, and Turner will walk into the end zone. Certainly Coach Narduzzi has to be happy with the way his first team defense came out and played this game.
Pickett back to pass, gets it out to Davis. Jukes a tackle, dives into the end zone.
Give on the delay to Abanikanda. He'll score standing up. They are having their way right now offensively, mixing passing and running.
Rolling on the field was a completed catch. Hunter was out at the 1 yard line.
What?
Hey! Blocked and picked up by the Panthers, and they'll add to that 42-0 score.
A lot of these freshmen caused turnovers, got to the quarterback, came out and showed that they could perform at a high level.
I want you guys to all hear me loud and clear. It is game day. Attitude, effort, toughness, and knowledge. The fun starts today. Go, baby!
Welcome to another edition of Pitt Beyond the Script alongside head coach Pat Narduzzi. I'm Casey Garrell. Coach, how do you feel after you got to break down the game film from Austin Peay on Saturday, now that you got to digest it all?
You know, I felt actually better after watching the videotape than I did prior to watching. You know, on the game, obviously in the first half, you felt great as far as, you know, what you saw, you know, on the field. But when you watch the tape, you saw a lot of little details being done the right way. Obviously, you're happy with the score. Anytime you can, you know, knock someone out like we did. And I've never been part of a 50-minute game. Usually it's a 60-minute game. So that was awful interesting. But, you know, I like how even in the second half, I was kind of like, this is sloppy in the second half. But our kids played hard and are going to learn from the mistakes they made in that second half.
Kenny mentioned this team was more than ready. They didn't need any motivation. They were self-motivated. But it seemed like when Paris Ford made that first interception, the sidelines, the tide seemed to turn. They seemed more than ready to play after that moment.
Yeah, I think mentally our kids were locked in. And I told them that yesterday. It was like, and we had talked for 2 weeks really about being mentally prepared, getting our minds right and playing up, not playing down to some you know, lower opponents, which we've done here lately. And we can talk about it as a staff, but I think our captains and Eagles did a great job of enforcing what I was saying. They were giving us the same message. And I think that was part of the key. Obviously, it took me a few years as a head coach to get that figured out, but you know, our players were giving the same message, and it was done the right way.
Does the climate change anything? Because you don't know when you're going to play. I mean, you know you're playing this Saturday, but anything can happen. You mentioned sudden changes. Is that why everyone was all in on Saturday?
I think they were all in Saturday regardless, Casey. I mean, our kids were ready to play a football game. They were, hungry for a different color jersey. They were sick of hitting each other, and our guys were all in. And again, if we're out there with 50 guys or 25 or 115, our kids will come ready to play.
Kenny was certainly explosive. He proved to be a dual threat quarterback on Saturday. How have you seen his growth from last year to now? Some of those intangibles.
I think when you sit back there in the pocket, it's not easy. Coach Whip always talks about, well, it's easier to say it than to do it. But just some of the zone read keeps that we ask him, hey, if you feel like you can beat the guy, go beat him. It's not necessarily based on a shoulder of a defensive end. And, he's a little bit more experienced now than he was. I mean, he kind of gets it. He knows who the personnel is. He's not just looking at, a coverage now. He's evaluating defensive ends and who can I run on, who can I not, who can I juke and make a move and at least put some, less stress on the running back in the offensive line that it's just going to be handed off to a running back.
Pickett now in the shotgun at the 6-yard line. Daniel Carter, the lone tailback. He will fake there. Pickett runs, dives, and scores. Kenny Pickett, reminiscent of one of his first college plays with the fake handoff, ran to the pylon and gets in for the 4-yard touchdown.
Kenny mentioned he wanted to run. Are you comfortable with him doing that? I know him and Coach Whipple had that in the game plan.
Yeah, I mean, we're comfortable with him running. There'll be more runs, when we need it, when we want it, and when it's useful for us. But Kenny likes to use his legs. He'd like to take that knee brace off, which is not for any injuries. It's his plant leg, and sometimes that's a leg that is in the ground and someone's falling into your legs. But if he took that thing off, he'd even be faster.
Used 5 running backs on Saturday. Running back by committee. Almost every single one of them scored. Who impressed you the most? From my chair, Vincent Davis seemed hard to tackle.
Well, Coach Casey, I think you're exactly right. You hit the nail on the head, Coach. Vince was, he made people miss. And I think that's what you have to do as a running back. It's not going to be these gigantic holes that anybody can run through. If that was the case, us 2 coaches could run through those holes. But running back job is to make somebody miss. He did a great job in protection. Vince is the guy that can make people miss.
Jordan Addison, does the game plan change at all as you head into ACC play? He fielded punts and kick returns very well, 7 receptions for 35 yards, targeted a lot. Does it change at all this Saturday?
It all depends. It depends on who's out there. It depends on what the coverage is, and it's all going to be based on what what the coverage gives Kenny. I mean, we don't start the play and say it's going to go to Jordan. I mean, it's all reading coverages, and if this guy does that, then we throw it here. If he does that, we throw it here. So it's all progressions, but it's not all about getting it to Jordan. It's about reading the progression. That's why so many different people got the ball.
Talk about making a statement. DJ Turner, you mentioned he's only been in this offense maybe 2 weeks, if that. Talk about some of his intangibles that we don't get to see. We only get to see him on the field or at practice.
Yeah, I mean, he's a smart kid. He's reliable, obviously. I mean, the one ball, he caught the easy one down the middle. That was one thing, but that one that was, underthrown, he came back to it, got it. I'm not sure we catch that ball last year. It would have been one of those, but he made those plays, and I think that's also contagious as receivers go, wow, he made that catch. I got to make that too. We should be making all of them. And we still had a few drops the other day, and we've got to eliminate that from our football game. You
managed to get 70 players in the game on Saturday. How awesome is that? The reps are so important in today's climate. You hear somebody like Dayon Hayes, his name come up twice with 2 sacks. And how important is it to get these reps, especially right now?
It's really important for several reasons, and you never talk about it as a coach. I could never sit in a meeting next week saying, hey, I want to get these guys in the game, because you just can't talk about it, because you probably won't get them in. So I never talk about it, but it's one of the really first games since I've been here at Pitt, going into year 6, that we've been able to handle an opponent like that in the first half and then get guys like that reps. And you find 2 things when you get guys reps, whether are they ready or are they not ready? And sometimes they all think they're ready until they get out there on the stage and find out that didn't look so good. Maybe I still need more work. So I think it wakes some guys up, and for guys like Dayon, he's looking at it going, hey, maybe we should take another look at Dayon, even though we have in camp. We know he's athletic, we know he's talented, but it just makes you look at guys in a little bit different way, as far as in a good way, or some guys that still need some more work.
Well, it's certainly a statement win. Congratulations on that. We'll be back later on with a preview of Syracuse on Pitt Beyond the Script.
play Pittsburgh football today. Every Saturday, whatever time they say we're playing, we get it done.
Welcome back to Pitt Beyond the Script. I'm Rob King with AT&T Sportsnet with Pat Bostic. And Pat, let's jump into the Austin Peay game. One of the things you notice in a 55-0 win is the opportunity for the coaches to get 70 players to play in this game.
Yeah, that was big. I mean, you want to get that going in an opener. You want to get a chance to play as many guys as possible. They played 11 true freshmen, which obviously this year with the blanket redshirt year, you obviously are more inclined to play guys. You're less worried about the 4-game threshold, but playing 11 true freshmen, and all in pretty significant time, was big, and getting their feet wet, obviously in Heinz Field, was important. That was the first time they've been at Heinz this year. So it was a great win. It was a good start. Things were efficient. They stayed pretty healthy, and a lot of guys got their first action.
We're going to talk about one of those freshmen. I'm sure we'll be talking about a lot of them as this season progresses. But I wanted to ask you about the offense overall. Kenny Pickett, we saw him running over to the sideline and running back last year. Some no huddle, some different things going on this year. Can we expect to see some more of that?
I think they want a tempo. I think Kenny likes tempo. If you look at his statistics over the years, he's really good in 2-minute drills. And I think it's because everything slows down for him because the game speeds up. Get to the line of scrimmage, you get a chance to digest things. You're not worried about the gyrations of getting in and out of the huddle, calling the play. You get to the line, dial it up, and look at the defense. And he's able to react and play faster that way. I think they have more talent to do that now too. They got a lot of tailbacks they can roll. They got a veteran offensive line that understands this system and what Mark Whipple wants to do. And they've got plenty of parts on the perimeter that can do different stuff. They can catch screens, they can run jet sweeps. You saw Addison play a big role. So I think the combination of Mark Whipple in his second year, Kenny Pickett's comfort level going no huddle, and the culmination of talent they have, I think leads them to be more inclined to be a no huddle up tempo team.
I want to talk about the freshman Deion Hayes. That's the guy I want to get to. Look, Westinghouse, one of the biggest city recruits in years, and he showed why. We know that there were different reasons that there were opportunities present for him to play more, of guys opting out, COVID testing, an injury, but this guy, two sacks in his first collegiate game, pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Pat Narduzzi last week, I believe it was either Monday or Thursday, mentioned that Deion Hayes was a guy that he can get a little down on his luck because you're buried behind Patrick Jones and Rashad Weaver and John Morgan and Deslin Alexander and all those guys that are veteran, defensive ends. And lo and behold, Deion Hayes goes in there and makes a splash right away. I mean, he gets to the quarterback, pretty much unblocked in the first one, but the second one he circled the quarterback well and knocked the football out. I mean, this defense is just loaded, and you look at what's coming, what's already here with young guys. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with, and Deion Hayes will be one of those names we're talking about for a long time.
Paris Ford, an interception as the defense shuts out Austin Peay. A sterner test coming up before we get to Syracuse. Can't forget special teams of the pair of block punts.
Yeah, block punts, obviously that's critical. The one was a little bit of a gift. I'm not sure what the punter was trying to do, but Brandon George a little upset he didn't get in the end zone. And Sibley, up big obviously in that game. It looked like Todd didn't really want to block it, but he was like, I kind of have to, right? I'm at the punter, let me just kind of wave my hand at it. And so he scored on offense and defense in the game. But I thought too on special teams, Rob, the guy that I was most impressed with was Kirk Christodoulou. Averaged 49.3 yards per punt, had a long of 59. Lacked a little backspin on the one he was trying to get inside the 20, but he had a little bit of an up and down year, was in and out of the lineup last year, and it's good to see him settle in and get off to a good start.
25th ranked Panthers, they are in the top 25. They're going to be taking on a Syracuse team that lost to a ranked North Carolina team. Now, look, Pitt has had great success against Syracuse, but they traditionally seem to be very close games. What is the big step up? We always talk about the improvement from week 1 to week 2. What are the Panthers going to try to accomplish, and how do they get acclimated to playing against a team that's going to be a much sterner test than Austin Peay?
Yeah, well, they're different. I mean, offensively they got a senior quarterback or an older quarterback in A.J. DeVito that, again, he was a little banged up last year, and they played a couple quarterbacks against the Panthers up in the Dome. But he can move with his feet. A lot of the same attributes you saw from Oatsball. Oatsball ran a little bit, but AJ might run a little bit more. They got weapons outside. Really good pair of receivers. They're a little bit depleted at running back. I think where the biggest difference you see is up front, the size, the physicality. They want to try to run the football. They're going to be up tempo. That's Dino Babers' style. You flip to the defensive side. This will be a markedly different defense than the Panthers have faced both in training camp and in week 1. They're very multiple up front, go 3-4 and 4-3. They'll stand defensive linemen up and walk them around. They bring a lot of different stunts and blitzes, and they're able to do that because they have a great secondary in the back. Andre Sisco is one of the best safeties in the country. You're going to see two of the best safeties in the country on the field on Saturday with him and Paris Ford. He allows them he can make up. He's kind of a Band-Aid back there. If they don't get to the quarterback, those guys in the back end are able to cover up. They got big corners. I think they're a good football team. They struggled to score against North Carolina, but really the game should have been tighter than it was. It was a 10-6 football game going into the fourth quarter, and we obviously know North Carolina had a lot coming back.
All right, Pat, thanks very much. Look forward to your call coming up on Saturday as the Panthers take on Syracuse, their first ACC game of the season. Coming up next, the spotlight shines on quarterback Kenny Pickett when we resume on Pitt Beyond the Script.
Let's go. Family on three. 1, 2, 3. Family! All right,
He will fake there. Pickett runs, dives, and scores. Kenny Pickett.
Offensive captain Kenny Pickett.
Being named captain was a huge honor for me. Just having my teammates, have the respect. The young guys look up to me is a huge deal. So it's just a huge honor going into my senior season. Just grateful that we get the opportunity to play. Things I was hearing from other players around the country in different conferences, and the Big Ten went down, and so did the Pac-12. No one thought we were going to be here right now, but we're all grateful for the opportunity and excited to go.
Quick, 1, 2, 3, good.
Coach Whip, that's my guy. Very happy I had the chance to learn from him last year, and then going into my second season with the same offensive coordinator. I'm very excited. Coaches me very hard, which is what I'm used to growing up. That's how it was, and I wouldn't want it either way because I want to be the best.
First one, 2-time captain Jimmy Morrissey. Come on up, Jimmy.
Met Jimmy Morrissey on my official visit, actually. So me and Jimmy kind of hit it off, kind of learning how this whole college life goes. So definitely a friendship I'll have forever. I think the continuity is probably the biggest thing that I've seen from the offensive line, the jump from last year to this year. Those guys have taken a lot of snaps together. They worked really hard all camp, and I'm really excited to play behind those guys and see what we can do this year. We have some young guys that came in that we were pretty impressed with early on. Jordan Addison stuck out, just speed alone. For a young guy, does not make many mistakes, which is very unique. Jalen Barton was very explosive, out the gate, making big-time catches down the field, where I was, I'd go back to Coach Whipple and say, I think we got something with him as well. I got a transfer tight end, Lucas Kroll. He was one of my best friends here now. We developed a pretty good friendship early on. I was his host on his official, and it kind of took off since then. So I think those three guys, and then you got Izzy at running back, who brings another element with his speed as well. So I think this offseason, our coaches did a great job of going out and finding guys that could help us this season. The glove started when I was actually in Pop Warner. I actually messed around with it a little bit. I can't tell you why. I think it was probably just the cold weather in New Jersey later in the season. I would throw the glove on, and I always threw it well. Coach Whip actually saw the way I was throwing with the glove and was like, I think you should try it one practice. Coach Dews at first wasn't on board, and then he saw me throw with it and was like, I guess I'll be all right with it. So it kind of took off from there. I just feel more comfortable with it. I have better control of the ball, so I'm just going to roll with it this season. Going into the Syracuse week, you can always expect to be a really tough game. In my time here, it's always been a battle. So Syracuse has pretty good offense and a solid defense, and you can always expect a pretty tough game.
Kenny Pickett putting the ball perfectly in stride.
Boy, that's a really impressive play by this young man.
We got to be smart. We have to have poise. What? 1, 2, 3, what?
Okay, Panther fans, we want to see how you hail from home. Share your photos and videos to show the Pitt community how you are supporting our Panthers on game day. Highlights will be featured each week on our weekly show, Pitt Beyond the Script. Be sure to use the hashtag #HailingFromHome. Be safe, have fun, and hail to Pitt.
Our first week of practice is going great. The girls have been coming out with energy every day, which is a huge part of this.
I like that hustle, Britt, keep it up.
This class is extremely special. They're leaders top to bottom.
Yes, Gabby, well done.
So last year there was a lot going on in terms of creating the vision. And this year we've changed focus to creating the foundation. And, we're really focused on our player development, our relationships, and, our culture.
Great job this morning, guys, right? I do appreciate the energy. I thought you guys went hard, right? One step towards where we're going, which is great. And tomorrow we're gonna be a lot cleaner than we were today.
For us, COVID, obviously it's creating a little bit of an issue having smaller groups of 6. We do 2 groups of 6 to practice. It's tough because you want to be able to do big picture stuff, but we have a whole year to develop our players. And so for us, the coaching staff is really focusing on fundamentals.
You were doing a great job staying under her, but you still gotta get that left foot up. Yeah, you know what I mean?
The girls are getting one-on-one instruction every day, and there's true attention to them. So nobody can really get away with the little things that maybe they could if there was a bigger group. So as much as we would like the whole team to be together, we're really finding value in these small group trainings.
Here we go, Peyton. This is your bread and butter. Keep her there, keep her there, keep her there. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh.
Our group of 12 is pretty amazing, to be honest.
She wanted to finish it. She's going for 100%. Nice job, ladies.
COVID is not an easy time to come in and be a freshman or to transfer into a school. And they've been incredible. It's easy to be distracted by, personal wants and personal needs. And these girls have come in and been truly selfless.
But that's a great first start to starting our legacy, right? Yeah. So good job.
For us, them coming together, being nervous, stepping on a college campus for the first time, there's always some jitters, but they're coming hard, and we could tell at the end of day 1 that they were already getting better, and they're super coachable kids, and we're excited for them all to be together.
Yes!
We're really focused on player development, but our biggest goal is starting a culture and building the leadership now. It's really hard for a freshman class to come in without leadership and development in place already. By creating a strong foundation, leadership and culturally, we think that, when we get into our first season, we double in size next year, and we have a large group of freshmen. Hopefully that transition becomes easier and we can focus on winning and focus on games opposed to having to start that culture and build that leadership from scratch in the same year we're competing.
1, 2, 3, H2B! Good job, guys.
Play every play, one play at a time. Let's play fast. Let's play physical.
Pitt football is underway.
Here we go, 2020, whatever it brings, we're set to play.
As despite everything, football is happening.
Welcome back to Pitt Beyond the Script. Coach, you face Syracuse this Saturday. Just first impressions of the Orange. They just lost to number 18 UNC. It was a tough game. First game of the season, ACC opponent. Most coaches don't like that.
No doubt about it. I certainly don't like it, and it's happened quite a bit with Wake Forest and Clemson. Happened with us in Virginia last year, and it's just part of the 2020 schedule a little bit. It's also something that's part of the ESPN and them dictating when you play Power 5 teams, when you play maybe a lesser opponent. So it's not easy, but they'll be prepared when they come here. They've been there. They've been in the ACC where we're playing Austin Peay. We haven't really had that hard hit yet that I think we'll get Saturday. It'll be a dogfight. Syracuse is always going to play us tight. I don't think any game in the last 6 years has been, anything less than, or more than 7 points, period, whether it's a field goal, whether it's overtime, whether it's a fake punt. I mean, there's been some great games with this football team, and it's a rivalry game. Back from the old Big East days, it's a game that they will come prepared. Dino Babers will have them ready. We'll have our team ready. It'll be a dogfight.
Your defense made a statement on Saturday as well with a shutout. Last year, they racked up 9 sacks against Tommy DeVito. How do you prep for this offense on Saturday?
Well, I mean, they have challenges that we have to deal with. They run a lot of 10 personnel, which means there's 4 receivers in the game. It's one of their favorite personnel groupings. So they spread you out and put more athletes on the field. And they've got a ton of speed, really on both sides of the ball. But at the receiver position, you got to be worried about Taj Harris and his explosiveness at the receiver spot. we've got to change it up. You can't come in and do the same thing you did last year, or they'll kind of play off of that and they'll have answers. So you got to find out something a little bit different, especially when you're going into year 5 that we played Dino Babers.
Offensively, you're going to be facing a revamped Syracuse defense under new DC Tony White, but you still see Andre Sisco named on the All-American watch list in the summer. How do you prepare for that?
Well, I mean, just like anybody else, I mean, we've got 2 pretty good players on the hash, DeMar Hamlin and Paris Ford, so our guys see it every day. But, you don't see him every day, so he plays a little bit different style, like everybody does. Everybody's got a little different style. But, Kenny will watch a lot of tape. Running backs, receivers will watch a lot of tape, knowing how to adjust the routes versus different coverages. And we got to do a good job mental preparation. Then we got to go out and run fast.
You mentioned you were developing a little bit of an ulcer last week. Are you feeling better now that you've gotten through week 1 and some of the COVID testing?
Yeah, there's no ulcer, but I'm a guy that likes things to be detailed out and structured. And sometimes, in this world right now, there's nothing structured. Everything is, looking at your watch like, did we find anything out yet? Do we know anything? What's going on? It's nice to get 1 under your belt and be working on 2.
You talk about leadership, though. It's so impressive how this team is dealing with the sudden changes. Just talk about that.
Our kids have been great, and again, I don't see them at night. They're out running around wherever they are. Hopefully they're in their apartments, taking care of business the right way. But they've been outstanding. I mean, they've listened to us as coaches, and I think, we've stressed how important this is. We've stressed the dangers of going out there, and infecting yourself and then infecting our bubble, this team bubble.
And one final note, the moment where you guys walked over to the band and where the student section would be, that was a really special moment and a good nod to them.
Yeah, well, I mean, we miss those guys. They're part of our game day experience, and whether they're there or not, we're going to go over there and pay tribute to them. We wish they could be there. We wish the band could be there. It's something you miss. You miss your parents being there. You wish your wife and kids being there, and we miss the band and the Panther Pit.
Well, thank you, Coach. Best of luck on Saturday.
Thanks, Casey.
And thank you for watching another edition of Pitt Beyond the Script.
Hey, 2020 season, we're getting this money all season. Let's go.